Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Happy Wednesday night. It is August 31st, and we are here to chat about the go-home show for AEW Dynamite heading into All Out this Sunday in Chicago. It is going to be a good time here tonight because we kind of have a lot to discuss. Of course, leading into this big pay-per-view, their biggest pay-per-view, it is really kind of an exciting night because we really had a lot of good matches, especially that main event, which was really, really fun. Really good, pretty much what we were expecting. And then on top of that, we kind of started to get a lot of the pieces moved around in terms of what's going on with Jon Moxley, CM Punk, and all of that and more here today. So we are going to go ahead and talk about all of that. Before we get to that, just a heads up, if you are new here, please take part in the chat. This is an interactive show, so I will be pulling up people's comments, reading people's thoughts. However, if you want to make sure your question, comment, or statement gets read on the air, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, those really do help me out here a lot on the show because they keep me funded, everybody. They keep me going, they keep me funded, and it's just a nice, just a nice thing if you guys want to. But before we get into that as well, I really also want to give you guys a heads up. So this Friday, I will be flying out to Chicago for All Out weekend. On Friday, I will be at GCW for Cup stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Should be a good night of a lot of like really good wrestling. GCW always puts on really good shows. So I'll be there on Friday night. On Saturday, I will be at the F4W Q&A. Sometimes I do like little announcements and little things like that. I take part in the raffle. I usually help the raffle out if they have one, because they usually do. And then after that, I will be pretty much doing my duties with Clash at the Castle, covering that show. And then after that, I will be doing another. I will be at the Saturday night GCW show as well. And then Sunday, finally, I will be at All Out. And then I will also be attending the media scrum. As you guys know, I make sure to post all of those on my YouTube channel too. And then tomorrow we are going to be having a Tony Khan media briefing ahead of All Out. So it is a very, very loaded next couple of days. So bear with me, everybody. I think we got our first super chat of the day. This is from Christopher Marino. Thank you so much to Christopher, who says there was some abysmal camera work tonight. I didn't notice it, honestly. So I can't even say yes or no because it wasn't something that I noticed. Maybe I was just, I don't know. I didn't notice it. But thank you to Christopher Marino for sending this thought in as well. All right, guys, so let's get to this. We're going to go ahead and kick things off with the Jon Moxley promo because last week things were absolutely nuts. And I mean nuts on this podcast because everybody wanted to talk about that match with Jon Moxley and CM Punk that did not go the way that many of us were expecting. And from where we left off on Wednesday, we were kind of like, is CM Punk done with the company? Where are they going with this storyline? What the hell is happening, right? So a lot of us were kind of, had more question marks than answers. And so we finally, for the most part, we get back to today and we're in Chicago, obviously. They're now at the Now Arena. And it's interesting, guys. It's very, very interesting because Jon Moxley comes out and it's funny because everybody loves the Wild Thing song. The Wild Thing song is, everybody gets really hyped up. Everybody's vibing. And so you kind of had that at the intro. And then the second the music stopped playing, the second that Jon Moxley music stopped playing, it was like all of a sudden everybody remembered, oh shit, wait a minute, this is CM Punk's town. We can't be cheering for Jon Moxley. We gotta boo this guy. So I thought that was pretty funny. We did get a mixed reaction, though. There were some people that were booing Jon Moxley, but for the most part, he did get cheers. It wasn't like massive boos. Given that it's Chicago, you would kind of think that maybe he would get a couple more boos, but that did not happen. So it was interesting to kind of see like the dynamics of, just everything all together with Jon Moxley's reception. And we'll talk about CM Punk's reception later on. So Jon Moxley basically goes out there and he tells Chicago like, oh yeah, your boy, he's still getting he's still being wiped off the floor in Cleveland. He starts going off and saying that he has no respect for CM Punk whatsoever. He says he has a fragile ego, a fragile body, a weak mind, and a weak spirit, and has zero respect for him. This all leads to Jon Moxley leaving a contract in the ring. He leaves a contract in the ring so that he says whoever, it could be somebody from New Japan Pro Wrestling. He even shouts out Rocky Romero and is like, hey, Rocky, if you got anybody else for me, send them my way. And he leaves this contract there in the ring for anybody to come take. And it's funny because if you think about it, if that's a legitimate thing, how many guys shouldn't have been trying to go out there to get that contract, I would have been like, if I were just some guy, I'd be like, you know what? I need to get my ass down there to that ring to get that contract. But whatever, that's just seeing it in a comedic way. But whatever. So after this, we end up seeing Jon Moxley closes this off by saying, whoever you are, you've been warned. All right, great. So Ace Steel ends up coming out and he just goes in very casually. He picks up the contract and he puts it in his pocket and that's it. Commentary just notes, he's a really good friend of CM Punk's and that's it, right? So at this point, I feel like the second everybody saw Ace Steel go out there and get the envelope from the contract from the ring, I think at this point, everybody knew, okay, it's going to be CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. At this point, there was going to be, it felt pretty sure that that's the direction that we were going in, and that is the direction that we went in. So I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to skip over to the CM Punk promo because we had a lot of other stuff that happened between that. But for the sake of what we're talking about, we might as well stick with this. So later on in the evening, CM Punk comes out and it's kind of a steady crowd reaction. Like it isn't your normal CM Punk Chicago reaction. Obviously for like the first couple of seconds, you do get that big reaction just because of the song and all of that. And, it's a big moment. But as he continued to like walk out, I felt that the reaction just steadied a lot more. Like it didn't really feel like the normal one that he normally gets. But whatever. So that's what happened. Then he started off this promo. And I got to tell you, I wasn't too in love with this first portion of this promo, because at one point I kind of started feeling like we were going a little bit in circles. Like they were trying to find their way back to getting Jon Moxley and CM Punk to be the main event at All Out after the events that occurred last week. So I kind of feel like there was a lot of talking on the part of CM Punk here, but this is basically what he said. He goes on to describe the injury process of his foot. And he says that the first time he broke his foot, that the doctor said that he was pulverized, that he pulverized his foot. He talks about getting surgery. He says, quote, I got 3 plates and 16 screws put into my foot. He takes a pause. And I don't know if someone said something in the front row to CM Punk. I don't know if he just decided to throw this in because I didn't pick up on anybody saying anything. But obviously, we're watching from TV. But then he pauses and he says, which real quick, he addresses a fan in the front row or something. He says, it is 16 more times than this fat guy has ever gotten screwed in his entire life. And that was kind of like, it was savage. It was a good line, though. Really, really good line. So I kind of like that CM Punk threw that in there. After this, he says that he was cleared, but that it's a new 100%, and he doesn't know if that 100% is good enough. And this is where I kind of started to get a little lost in CM Punk's promo. But then he continues on and he says that, he loves the wrestling fans. That's the reason why he came back, because he loves the wrestling fans, and that he feels bad that he let the fans down. He let his dog down. He let his little sister down. And then he says, maybe love isn't enough anymore. Maybe love isn't enough to get him through all of this. So I'm thinking, okay, let's see where this goes. It was everything after this that I really enjoyed from this segment, like thoroughly. So Ace Steel comes out, and he basically tells CM Punk, like, this isn't what we planned that you were going to say. And I think the reason why they did it this way, I think this was a nod to some of the reports from a couple weeks ago where CM Punk went off script and addressed Hangman Page. So I think the reason why they set it up this way, why they started this off that way, is to kind of throw a nod to those reports that came out a couple weeks ago. So anyway, so he tells CM Punk, like, this is not what we had planned. This was not what I thought that you were going to say. And, he basically introduces himself to everybody, says, I've coached CM Punk since day one. I trained CM Punk since day one. I had a great career, but the thing that I'm most proud for is the fact that I trained you. And he tells him, I'm proud of you. You're family to me. And then he's like, you don't let family down. And then out of nowhere, he just freaking slaps CM Punk across the face. And I really like this because it kind of reminded me of like that point in a movie. We've all seen this multiple times where the character's falling apart. Their life is over. Oh my God, things are a disaster. And then somebody literally they have a moment where, someone hits them with a reality check and basically gets them back up on their feet. The first scene that popped into my mind as I was thinking about this, was the scene from Bridesmaids when I forget her name, when the blonde girl, the main girl, Annie, she is like breaking down, falling apart, and then her other friend comes through and she just like slaps her on the couch. That's exactly what this reminded me of. He was like, you're going to fight, like, stop this. You're going to fight on Sunday. And then he finally convinces him of like who he is, knocks some sense into CM Punk. They hug it out. And then CM Punk ends up going on this like, very, very, he starts saying like, I'm just this punk rock kid. And he basically calls out Moxley. He walks through the crowd. He makes his way there. He gives like a big, like, I don't know, big speech, pumping up everybody in Chicago and who they are and what they stand for. And then he finally signs the contract amongst the fans. And so it was really nice. I kind of liked everything from the moment where Ace Steel came out and everything that followed after that. So in conclusion, personally, I feel like they kind of went around, like they worked their way to get over here. And it doesn't feel, personally to me, this doesn't feel like the way that it was always supposed to play out. I feel like the events that happened last week I almost feel like they weren't like totally planned out. I have no idea how far in advance that was the plan for, ever since CM Punk came back from his injury to do what they did last week. Personally, I still was not too big of a fan of that, but I do like how they kind of reconnected things and got things back, they got things back on track this week. But again, that's kind of where I'm at on this. Thoughts on this, everybody? How did you feel about the promo? Are you guys like still looking forward to seeing Jon Moxley versus CM Punk at All Out? How do you feel about the story? Let's get some thoughts in here. Also, if you want to make sure to send in, if you want to make sure your questions, comments, or your opinions or whatever get read on the show, you're more than welcome to send in a super chat. We actually got a super chat here from Nick Grasso who says, I still don't get why they're going with the Moxley Punk storyline and still feel like the interest is down after a 5-minute squash, which at this point feels like a cheap ratings grab. And that's kind of what I meant by it doesn't really feel like this was always the plan. Like to me, this kind of feels like, they needed something big for that Cleveland show. That's kind of how I felt. Like they needed something big for that show. They decided to put this match there. And then, we already talked about what happened last week, so I won't go into that, but it did kind of feel like, it still kind of felt like it didn't feel necessary. It honestly didn't feel necessary to get to this point. All the events from last week to me did not feel necessary to get to this point. And now I just feel like they're trying to get things like glued back together so that it starts like making a little bit more sense. Like they're trying to piece the pieces together of this like puzzle that kind of got out of control. I don't even know. Personally, I don't feel like the squash helped. I know a lot of people loved it. I loved it because of the buzz, but I didn't love it really because of the storyline aspect of it. But also, did it kind of lower the interest for some people for Jon Moxley versus CM Punk at All Out? Personally, I'm kind of that person that when we're building to a big match, I'm that person that likes to see those people like ahead of that match not really get in the ring with one another. I kind of want to see if they're going to have their hands on each other, I want it to be like in a brawl type of way. I don't want it to be like a match before the big match. To me, it does kind of take away from that. But that's just like my personal, taste in this type of stuff. But on top of that, like what I'm trying to get at here is just like, I did think they took a little bit of that anticipation that we had for it after last week's events. And I know that today, like on Twitter, when prior to, this becoming official about CM Punk and Jon Moxley, and prior to Ace Steel even going out there and picking up the contract, I put out a tweet basically asking people who they thought it was going to be. And I got so many, or like quite a few comments that people were like, it's going to be CM Punk, but without that like enthusiasm where people were like, we kind of wanted it to be MJF, but it's going to be CM Punk, that type of thing. And that's not what you want. That's not the kind of reaction that you want for that. But I feel that after this like interaction with Ace Steel and CM Punk, I think it got people like back to feeling a little bit more excited about it. And it's going to be a good match. It's going to be a good fight. And they're obviously going to want to, put it all out there, especially after the squash. All right. Thank you so much to Nick Grosso for sending in this super chat. I really appreciate you sending this in, man. All right. Let's see what else we got in here. This is from Andrew Cook, who says the story was definitely hurt by the match last week. They tried to get it back on track tonight, but they still have left themselves a bigger challenge to have a great match on Sunday. I think that, at the end of the day, like they're two big stars, Jon Moxley supremely popular, CM Punk is supremely popular. People are going to be interested regardless, like no matter what, they're going to be interested. But I do think it took away some of that, like, some of that like specialness, it took some away from that. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and continue on from here. BTW, I'm trying to go through a couple more comments. Let's see what we got. This one's from 554K, who says, the Moxley and Punk stuff was really good, and I don't think the crowd was giving CM Punk the normal response, except when he first came out and the second half of Punk's promo. That's pretty much, honestly, how I read that as well. Honestly, that's really how I read that too. And we got another super chat here from J Mills 98. Thank you so much to J Mills for supporting the show. J Mills says they got to turn Punk heel already. I don't care if it's Chicago. It's time. The whole thing nearly fell flat last week. And I thought that that's what they were going to do today. Also, when he basically called out that fan, or the fan, and basically just said like, oh, you're see, it was kind of like a heelish thing to do, but at the same time it was so funny that it couldn't really I thought that they were gonna go with it today, because the people, come on, when you got Chicago like when you got mixed reactions from Chicago, and people are kind of like, I'm gonna cheer for Moxley. Like, I know CM Punk is our guy, but I'm gonna cheer for Moxley. If that's not a big indication of maybe we should turn CM Punk heel, I don't kind of know what is. So it does feel like after today, though, it doesn't really feel like he's a heel. It feels like that was everything that he did afterwards was like super babyface. Like, you couldn't, come on. The man was feeling down he wasn't feeling, tip top. He wasn't feeling confident, and he needed to get slapped in the face to get some reality back into him, to get some like confidence back or whatever it is that he needed. And you kind of felt for the guy. Shit, I related to CM Punk so much during that moment. I was like, we all need somebody like Ace Steel to kind of, give us a reality check. I'm not saying we all got to get slapped around here. But sometimes you just need somebody to like shake things out of you and get you, out of wherever you are in that headspace. So personally, I really, really liked that. So I'm still looking forward to the match. At the end of the day, it's still two big names, so I think people are still going to have interest in it. It's just that we took a interesting way to get there. Thank you to J Mills 98 for sending in that super chat as well. Alrighty. This is a comment from DJ Barber Green, who says, some people are hard to please. No one saw this coming. I can't speak for anyone else, but this was minute to minute great as well. Yeah, it's hard to please everybody. You can't please everybody, guys. But here's the thing, though. I feel like there's trying to please everybody, and then there's just people having different taste and different opinions and things. Like, we're not all going to think the same, It's just not going to happen. We're individuals. Deb Morales says, AEW is surely bringing it 100. I really enjoyed the show today. Lots of good matches and a good wild crowd. I'm glad. I'm really, really glad, because usually the pay-per-view crowds are going to be, because you got a lot of people that traveled. I don't know how many people get there so early for Dynamite if they're traveling. I'm sure there's quite a few, but for the most part, maybe this was a more of a local crowd, but you're going to get more people, going in, traveling crowd. Usually I notice that people get there Thursday, Friday. Thursday, Fridays are usually the big travel days for the pay-per-views, at least based on what I've seen from going to the shows and whatnot. We got a comment here from CRS Uno who says, I'm actually more excited for the match. Mox and Punk are two of the best, and I'm curious on what they're planning. We got a super chat here from Crippleface Jenkins. Thank you so much for sending this in. Crippleface Jenkins says, this go-home show was absolutely incredible. My wife is a huge Moxley fan, but by the end of the night, she was in love with the idea of champion CM Punk. Incredible. Cool that you get to watch with your wife as well. It's really awesome. Thank you so much to Jenkins for sending in this super chat as well. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and continue on from here. After this, let's go ahead and get into the stuff that they did with Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, Jake Hager, all of that. So I think a lot of this was, so first and foremost, Jericho starts doing an interview backstage with Tony Schiavone. Daniel Garcia interrupts and basically tells them that he's pledging his loyalty to the Jericho Appreciation Society. And really what this kind of feels like is Daniel Garcia, he has to have something up his sleeve. I don't really fully trust him when he said that he pledged his allegiance, his alliance, his whatever to the Jericho Appreciation Society. Something tells me that Chris Jericho should not trust Daniel Garcia. And then there was even this big moment, and maybe I read into it too much, but Chris Jericho basically tells Bryan Danielson that he needs to watch his back. And that is the last thing that Chris Jericho said in his promo. In turn, I think Chris Jericho needs to watch his back. But anyways, we get Bryan Danielson versus Jake Hager. And this match was all right, guys. This match was fine. This was fun. I think people were really into this match for a specific reason. And I think the reason why they were so into this match is they just wanted to see Jake Hager lose. All of those moments where you thought the match was over for Jake Hager, everybody was ready to just go nuts, right? They were we just want to see Jake Hager lose. And so this match to me kind of became fun because of that. And I think the crowd really did a good job of really being invested in it, that it made me even a little bit more into it. But immediately right off the bat, Bryan Danielson tries to bring down Jake Hager. He's a big guy. Why wouldn't that be his strategy? We got an awesome tope suicida from Bryan Danielson. There's a moment before commercial break where Bryan goes for a dive off of the apron, but instead Jake Hager catches him and then he runs him right into a table. I really like that. That was a good little spot there. And then immediately afterwards, he just grabs Bryan Danielson's body and just starts banging it onto the ring post. I thought that was really good too. So we go to commercial break. We come back from commercial break, and Bryan gets Hager with the yes kicks. The crowd is going nuts. He gets in the label lock, and Hager gets the ropes. And then at the end, we finally see Bryan Danielson actually get the win here. But regardless, I think that this match was a lot more fun than I expected it to be. So that's good. Post-match, we see Jericho run in. He ends up getting a running boot to the face from Bryan Danielson due to a distraction from Daniel Garcia, which on the part of Daniel Garcia was supposed to be accidental. For those of you in the audio version, I put the accidental in air quotations. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to add about this. Nah, that's kind of it. That's pretty much it for this Bryan Danielson Jake Hager match. We got a super chat here from Leonard Aarons III. Thank you so much to Leonard, who says, 2001, Austin lost 2 straight falls to Triple H just before Mania. Punk losing to Mox in a humbling fashion is going to push him to be the real CM Punk, the one Hangman, Eddie, MJF, Mox have been warning us about for months. See, I like your train of thought there. I really, really do. And I get it. I get where you're going at with this. But the CM Punk that we saw in that match with Eddie Kingston, dude, that shit was brutal. Like, you can't go back and say that that wasn't the real CM Punk, right? Because the work that he did with Eddie Kingston was tremendous. So, like, I get where you're going at with this, but I feel like that would also be taken away from some of the previous work that he's done with these guys, because that stuff was great. Was really, really great. But either way, thank you so much to Leonard Aarons III for sending in the super chat. I really appreciate the support. Thank you. We got another super chat here from Roberto Arsenal. Thank you so much to Roberto, who says, this weekend, Dominic turns on Ray. Luchasaurus turns on Jungle Boy. The All Out pre-show matches look good. Who is the Joker for the ladder match? So I know everybody has different theories here. I'm trying to come up with a good theory as to who the Joker for the ladder match is. And I was trying to think, like, is it going to be someone that's unsigned? But then I started thinking, like, who's left? Who's left that's like a really, really big name that hasn't been signed? And I'm sure there's probably someone out there that I'm not thinking of right now, but nobody pops into my head like instantly. And so I'm wondering, like, okay, I know a lot of people, obviously for everything now, people are like MJF, right? Like, that's just the name we hear for everything. I don't think so. That's not where my head's going. But I don't have anybody for this. The only person that I could think of was like, oh, maybe Samoa Joe. Let's see. Do we have any other brilliant opinions in here so I can steal someone's if they have a really good one? I'm like, if they have a really, really good one, I will steal it. All right. We got a comment here from Justin, who says that this was another really good Danielson match. He always delivers. The story where Garcia will stand is one of the most interesting ones in wrestling. It's a good one. I really like it. I wouldn't say it's the most interesting, but it's a good one for sure. We got some people saying, one person says Bray Wyatt. I don't think so. We got another person saying Joe as well. Yeah, I don't think so. But let's see. I'm trying to see if anybody has any other good ones. This one is from... someone says, what about Sammy Guevara? That's true. Sammy could be in there. Yeah, because he hasn't been announced either. Someone says, what about Jonah? The last I heard, and obviously that the last thing that was like put out there that was reported was that WWE was interested in bringing back Jonah and bringing who was Bronson Reed in the company. So I don't know. We got a couple people throwing in there Lance Archer. Love Lance Archer. Lance Archer could be a great one too. Let's see. Luchasaurus. Someone says Big Cass, W. Morrissey. So let's get right into this, guys. So W. Morrissey is now in AEW from the looks of it. So the Wingmen come out. I don't watch Dark Elevation. You guys know that. I haven't seen the Wingmen in a long time. Okay. It's been a very long time since I've seen the Wingmen. So anyways, they come out and they start saying, they want more television time and this and that. And I'm like, I was first thinking, I was like, why would they put this segment on a go home show for All Out? And I was thinking, are they really doing this? They're doing a wingman segment for the go home show of All Out. And that's kind of what I was thinking about while they were like doing their spiel, right? And then lo and behold, I was not expecting like any surprises for today. I figured if there's going to be any surprises, they're going to come in at the pay-per-view, right? Well, it ended up being W. Morrissey comes out and he gets in there and he literally like kicks all their butts, like everybody, like big boot here, big boot there, takes them all out. And then Stokely Hathaway comes out and gives him a business card because Stokely Hathaway has been recruiting people and all of that. Honestly, the one thing that I do want to say here right now is, dude, I'm really happy for W. Morrissey. Honestly, I really, really am, because I've been watching his work on Impact Wrestling, and legitimately, the man has turned his life around. You haven't heard of him like getting into any problems or any trouble or anything like that. He's changed his physique. He looks like a beast, man. Y'all saw him. He's fit as hell. He's huge. He's fit. I mean, he's got the whole thing, the whole enchilada. He looks great. I'm really happy for him. And I think given the fact that he was doing such good work in Impact, I really hope that they continue that. It's a lot harder on AEW, I think, because there's just so many people on the roster. Personally, I know there's still so many people, but you know, for the most part, I am hoping at least for a good period for W. Morrissey there. And in terms of like, I also hope that they don't do the predictable thing with him where I hope they don't do like just a bunch of squashes with W. Morrissey. I hope that they actually do some good stuff there where it's just not a bunch of squashes, because with a guy his size, I feel like they would just want to do all of the squashes, and this just fell off. Anyway, shout out to Big Edge, guys. Shout out to Big Edge. All right, let's go ahead and see what we got here and see what people are saying. Let's see what we got. Uriel Vega says, Denise, would you party with the wingmen? Sure. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? They seem like fun guys. All right. Oh, man. We got Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm versus Jamie and Britt in a tag team match. This was a really fun match, guys. I liked this one. This was a good one. I love seeing like Britt and Jamie just like unfairly double team on Toni Storm, also with the help of Rebel on the outside. Storm hitting her hip attack on Baker. Really good. Shida hitting the Kanata, the buzzsaw kick for the to the head of Britt Baker for the eventual win. Good, solid little match here to like boost up that fatal four-way coming up. Good stuff, guys. Nothing else much to say about that. We got a super chat here from Cody Anderson who says, after that segment, Stokely turned off his Twitter account. I wonder if he's building an ROH stable since there's not a graphic for Morrissey yet. He could be, I mean, he's definitely building a stable, that's for sure. He's going out there and getting, making sure to try to get some people. I like that, though. I really like that. And I like that there was no hesitation on the part of W. Morrissey. He was like, yeah, cool. We're doing this. Sweet. Thank you, Cody Anderson, for sending in this super chat. Much appreciated. Alrighty. Let's see what else we got here. And we got somebody putting over Shida, basically saying she looks great. And yeah, she looks awesome, guys. People putting over that they liked Shida getting the win. I do too. I like that too. Let's not forget she's a former AEW Women's World Champion. Darth Stevens 777 sends in a super chat saying, I believe Toni is going to win, but what if Jamie was to win the fatal four-way in a sneaky fashion and it causes friction with her and Britt? See, like, that's the thing. I'm seeing a lot more people wanting to see Jamie Hayter win over Toni Storm. Like, Toni Storm is the clear, to me, is the obvious choice, right? I feel like it's the obvious choice that Toni Storm is going to win this match, right? But I'm seeing a lot of people wanting it to be Jamie Hayter. And you got to think about that too. You got to listen to that. Like, a lot of people are interested in Jamie Hayter being champion, but is she there yet already? Like, is she there yet to already be champion? It does feel a little bit premature. However, I don't hate the idea because if Jamie Hayter were to become champion, you know what's going to happen. Britt Baker is, she's supposed to be the leader of this group. And, she's the alpha female in this, friendship of theirs. If Jamie Hayter is the champion and all of a sudden, she's off to the side, it ain't gonna fly very well, especially given the fact that she's in the match too. So it would not fly whatsoever. So I would not hate that idea just because I would like to see Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker go at it and have like their fall apart, especially because that was teased like a while ago and then they kind of stopped doing that and everything was kind of cool again. But I would not hate this idea. I would not hate this idea, but I still think the safer choice is Toni Storm. Not the safer choice in terms of like Toni Storm being the safer choice, but I'm saying for us, if we were going to make a bet and put money on it, the safer choice is Toni Storm. If you don't want to lose any money, that's what I meant by safer choice. Thank you to Darth Steven for sending in that super chat as well. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and we got more people saying that Hayter would make for a very interesting story if done well. I'm seeing a lot of people here pretty much saying the same thing. Roberto's saying that he honestly would be fine whichever of the 4 women that were to win. It'd be good stuff there. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from this. Afterwards, we already talked about the CM Punk promo. Let's get into Jungle Boy and Christian Cage because I've been loving this story, guys. Jungle Boy Christian Cage has been one of my favorite stories that we've been seeing on AEW as of late, and really, it's honestly just you gotta give the credit to Christian Cage, guys. He's the one that's been like putting out this like masterful like promos that are beyond that left you kind of thinking, did he really just say that? I mean, the man has talked about Jungle Boy's mother, Jungle Boy's dead father. He's touched on it all. The promos have been very, very entertaining, very, very evil and mean. You had the incorporation of Luchasaurus and the betrayal from Christian Cage to Jungle Boy after Jungle Boy saw him like a father. I mean, there's a lot there to kind of unpack. We're finally seeing Jungle Boy get a little bit, fight back a little bit. So that's good for Jungle Boy too. But we're working into this match at All Out. And we get to sit down with Jungle Boy, Christian Cage, and Jim Ross. And Christian Cage basically tells Jungle Boy that at 25, he's going to be a has-been. He's going to make him a has-been before the age of 25, excuse me. Jungle Boy tells him, I actually loved you, Christian. I cared about you. You felt familiar to me, basically saying that he saw Christian like a father. And then Christian gets him with my favorite line of the night. He tells Jungle Boy, I'm not here to be your father. I'm here to make money and win championships. And I freaking love that because that's such a messed up thing to say. The kid idolized you. The kid was a fan of you. You got the trust of this kid, and then you turn your back on him, and now you're like, nah, screw that. I'm here for the money and the championships. But I loved it because can you blame Christian Cage? He's there for the money and the championships. Can you blame the man? No, you can't. So anyways, this ends with Jungle Boy basically saying that this Sunday he's not going to wrestle Jungle Boy. He's going to wrestle Jack Perry. This was good stuff, man. I loved this. Thumbs up on this, guys. I'm really looking forward to this entire thing. Really, really do. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and continue on from this. Afterwards, we got a quick squash, Wardlow and FTR versus Silas Young, Ren Jones, and Vic Capri. Quick squash match. Wardlow and FTR get the win. I hope that they're going to be wrapping up with these Wardlow squash matches pretty soon. I really hope that this is going to be like they're starting to get a little too repetitive. Just a little bit too repetitive. Alrighty, guys. Let's get into the situation with the Dark Order. So, when was it? Was it on Friday? Was it on Wednesday? When we were talking about this. We were talking about how, when the House of Black got eliminated. out of the tournament. And we were like, what? We should have all seen this coming. We should have all seen it coming. At the end, they'd find a way to incorporate Hangman Page into not just on the corner of the Dark Order, but actually fighting on behalf of the Dark Order so that we can have Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks with Hangman Page and the Dark Order for the finals of the Trios tournament. So it's looking like that's the prediction. Obviously, they still have to defeat the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy on Friday, but it's looking like that's where we're going, guys, with the Bucks, Omega, and Hangman and the Dark Order. And they basically did this by what we were talking about last week, where they took out 10 from this because of the knee, and then Evil Uno was going to come in and take his spot. But then instead Andrade came in, Jose the assistant came in, and they tried to recruit with them. They said no, they kicked their butts. And then Jose the assistant tased 10, literally just like got him with a taser. Pretty savage if you ask me. But anyways, Hangman Page is officially their partner. So that's where you thought this was going. That's where it's going. Oh, man. Fernando Zaya says this was predictable, but still great to see. Completely agree. We got Ray Mungus who says, nice to see Silas Young with such a large roster. We don't need enhancement talent taking TV time every week, squash or not. All righty. And before we move on to everything, guys, for those of you who are watching this show and you are having a good time, if you're enjoying yourself, please make sure to come back here each and every single week. Wednesdays is my favorite show of the entire week to do because there's always so much that goes down on Dynamite, and it's always a really good time to come out here and talk about the events that unfolded. So I am here each and every single week, Wednesdays, Tuesdays for NXT, Wednesdays for AEW, and then Friday for Smackdown and Rampage, unless I have a booking. But for the most part, we find a way. We find a way. We got some people saying they think Hangman deserves better. No, I like this. I like this. If he's going to go in there, and obviously it's going to be in opposite of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I think that's pretty good. All right. We got a four-way match here to kind of preview the to preview the casino ladder match. And this was Rush, Dante Martin, Rey Fenix, Wheeler Yuta. This is a fun match, guys. We got some killer fast-paced action here. I actually wanted this match to be a little longer. Oh, I know it's just a preview, just a little taste, just a little lick. I get it, but I was selfishly wanting a couple of minutes. I would have trimmed. I would have either taken off the Wardlow FTR squash match to give these guys a couple more minutes, or I would have trimmed down the Jake Hager, Bryan Danielson match to give these guys a couple more minutes, because this was so much fun. Even though I get it, just a teaser, this was just what it was supposed to be. We got a really cool kick-ass tope from Phoenix. Dante did a really cool corkscrew dive, which was pretty awesome. Wheeler Yuta hits the seatbelt, gets the win for himself. This was fine. This was just a preview, guys. Just a preview for the actual ladder match coming. I was very excited, too, when they announced the ladder match because I liked the names in it. Really, really liked the names in it. All right, and let's go ahead and continue on from here. Let's talk about the matches that have been announced for the upcoming shows. AEW Rampage. We're going to be getting Hangman Page and the Dark Order versus the Best Friends. Most likely, it's going to be Hangman Page and the Dark Order actually winning. QT Marshall versus Ricky Starks. Sam Guevara and Ty Mello versus Ortiz and Ruby Soho. We got matches announced for the AEW All Out 0 Hour. Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii, Part 2. The AEW All Atlantic Championship match, Pac versus Kip Sabian. And then Hook versus Angelo Parker. AEW All Out matches made thus far. Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho. The AEW World Women's Championship match, Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, Jamie Hayter. We're also going to be having Miro, Darby Allin, and Sting versus the House of Black. The TBS Championship, Jade Cargill versus Athena. Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. FTR and Wardlow versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. The Casino Ladder match, Ricky Starks versus Powerhouse Hobbs. the Trios Championship Tournament Finals, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed, and the AEW World Championship match, CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. That is, let me see, including all the 0 hour, that it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's 14 matches. Oh, no, wait, no, 13 matches, excuse me. I think I counted one twice. Either way, that's going to be a long night, but it's going to be a jam-packed night. These are usually how the AEW pay-per-views are. Also announced for next week, AEW Dynamite, we're going to be having the ROH Pure Championship, Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia. All right, main event time. What the hell did I say? Kenny and the Bucks, the United Empire, Aussie Open, and Will Ospreay. This was literally everything that you wanted it to be, guys. This was so much fun. First of all, loved the intro for Kenny Omega, where he's basically just saying he's all the ways in which he's better than Will Ospreay. All of the ways. Loved everything. Loved the Hurricanrana from Ospreay that we got here. I loved Kenny Omega being one step ahead of him when he got him with the Snapdragon suplex on the outside. I love that. Nick Jackson hitting the DDT on Ospreay on the outside. That was cool. The Liger Bomb from Ospreay to Kenny, and especially everything that led up to it. That was really great too. Nick Jackson doing the Escalera. Afterwards, Omega eventually getting the win. This was good stuff, guys. This was fast-paced stuff that people did not want this match to end. It's crazy what these guys can do. Honestly, it really is. And like I mentioned earlier, the obvious direction we're heading into is, again, the Elite and the Dark Order with Hangman Page. But, ladies and gents, that was AEW Dynamite for today. That was the go-home show for All Out. I hope you guys had a good time, as always. And tomorrow on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo, I will be going live to do a prediction show. So if you guys want to come in and chat more All Out, you are more than welcome to check out that show. But other than that, I will see you guys next week. And if you haven't already, make sure to follow me on Twitter and or on Instagram @_Denise Salcedo. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone. Have a great All Out weekend.